Hello friends and welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make pinto beans. So the best thing about making these pinto beans is you make a pot of these, you can feed a lot of people. I'm only using a pound of pinto beans and there's going to be enough here to serve probably like 5 people or so, whatever. But I add things to it to stretch this, like I actually put ham in it, which actually will make it go further. If you had something like pork or whatever that you made recently, you can put in there. It's going to actually season the beans, make them taste better. But I also add in a few oddball ingredients that are going to give them a little bit extra to give them more flavor. Because old school pinto beans, everybody ate them. They were one of those things when you didn't have money, this is what you got. But you can actually make them a little better by adding a few extra ingredients to it, give it a lot of flavor, and actually make this something that the whole family would like. But it's going to fill up a family, especially if you're working on a budget. So like I said, we're going to start with our pound of pinto beans, and you're going to need to soak these overnight before you use them. So get a bowl, put them in, and pour enough water in to where there's probably about 3 inches water above the beans. And then, like I said, we're going to set these to the side and let them sit overnight. So that way they go ahead and absorb some water. It's just the process you go through to make these. So once you have them ready, just put them in a safe place. If you want to, you could possibly cover the top of it if you wanted to. So we're going to move on from there. We're going to start out with at least a medium onion, which we're going to cut into smaller pieces. This is going to actually add to, again, the flavoring of the beans. I just basically cut this across a few times and then cut crossways the other way, and that way I have hunks of onion. And when I'm putting them into my bowl, I'm going to make sure I break these up a bit, so we don't want these really huge pieces just staying together in the whole process. We want to get them broken up. Get all of that in there. And then we're going to add other things to this. And we're going to start off with about a tablespoon of salt, a tablespoon and a half of minced garlic, and then to that we're going to add about 1/5 of a cup of olive oil. And once this is into the bowl, we're going to mix this up a bit, because all of this mixing together is going to give an edge to the beans. It's actually going to flavor them even more than what the ham could do. It's just going to be one of these things where this isn't going to be the old school version of pinto beans. It's going to have some flavor to it. So mix this all up, and once it's all completely done, we're going to move this to the side and we're going to pull out our ham. I have about probably a cup to a cup and a half of ham here. We're going to cut this up into pieces that are small enough to where when you're eating your beans on a spoon, you're going to be able to have the ham on there. You don't want huge pieces that are going to fall off, go all over the place when you're trying to eat it. You want them manageable. So we're going to cut them up into little hunks of ham. And that way, when they're actually in the beans, they're going to move through the beans. They're going to be easier to pick up with a spoon. They're going to actually be easier to eat. So just work with whatever you have, whether you have pork or ham. Either way, it's still going to do a great job on this. And if you had like some leftover stuff from like a pork roast or maybe even pork chops, you could cut some of that meat up and put it in, just for the fact that you're trying to add to what you're cooking here. And the best thing is this gets rid of leftovers. So if this is like after the holidays and you had ham left over, this is a great way to use some of it up. Same thing as if you had just made pork or whatever for dinner. If you have leftovers, you need a new way to get rid of it and actually use it well, this is the way to do it. So once we cut up all of our ham, we're going to put it back on a plate, set it to the side, and get ready to put all of this together. So I have a Dutch oven that I'm putting my beans into. Now the beans that we had that were in the water, we've drained the water in a colander, got the beans over into the Dutch oven, and we're going to stack all this stuff in there. So now I'm going to add in the onions, garlic, and the other stuff into the mix. Just dump it into. Now you can use a regular pot. Like I said, I'm using a Dutch oven. It really doesn't make any difference. Just mine might get a little hotter and cook a little faster because of the fact when I put the lid on, it's really going to hold the heat inside. So to this, we're going to add our ham in. Go ahead and get it all in there. And now I'm adding a cup of chicken broth. Again, something else to give this flavor. It's just going to give it an edge. And then to that, we're going to add water. I would go ahead and add about 4 cups of water to this at this point. When you're cooking this, you're going to want to check it to see if the water has absorbed a lot into the beans, because if it has, you need to add more water as it's cooking to keep the water above the beans and so they don't dry out. But go ahead and stir this up a little bit. We're going to get ready to put this onto our stove to cook. You're going to turn this up higher temperature to start with and get it boiling. Then once it's boiling, we're going to turn it down to medium to low and just let it cook. For mine took 2.5 hours. Yours could be a lot longer than that. It could be less than that depending on what kind of pot you're using and how hot your stove gets. But when it's cooked, it looks something like this, because mine is already cooked for 2.5 hours, and this is what is left over when it is cooked. And this is just a great thing to eat. And this is what mine looked like when I put it in a bowl, and I had a couple biscuits there with it. And this is just a great meal, and it really will stretch to feed a family. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out my cookbooks, which are available in bookstores worldwide. The first is about everyday cooking. The second is all about baking. Have a great day.